All right, South Africa is back in the dark. Eskom says power cuts will continue until 5 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. The power utility also says it's been experiencing generation failures for the past 24 hours. The power utility held a briefing earlier today. For more on this, let's go to our reporter, Pule Letshwiti-Jones, who can give us more information. Pule, Eskom having that briefing earlier today. What does it say it requires to ease the strain on some of the power units?
Well, it does, seem like more capacity is required, as we understand that the Medupi Unit 3 had broken down, which eventually led to the load shedding which we're seeing. But managers at Eskom are quite confident that there will be progression to try and revitalize this unit. But subsequent to that, we know previously during this weekend, 4 units actually were significantly, experiencing power failures as well, and they've had to recover those units as well over the past 2 weekends. We know 2 of them have been recovered as it is right now. But quite the numbers we're seeing, that around 4,000 to 6,000 megawatts will be required to ensure that it fights against, that the power utility fights against this maintenance failure as well. And significantly what they've told us is that they could be experiencing other breakdowns which could be leading to load shedding, and we may receive the notices quite late. But as it is right now, Mr. Philip Dukashi, who is the executive official there at Eskom, is saying that much more plans are needed to ensure that the backlog and of course the challenges that they currently faced are actually addressed to. I just wanted to listen carefully to what he had to say in terms of ensuring that they can alleviate the load shedding that has been taking place in the country.
We need additional capacity in the country. That capacity is desperately needed. Every time there is load shedding, we look at Eskom, and it should be because we are the bulk supplier of electricity. But we have been saying now consistently for a number of years, or at least months, that we need between 4,000 and 6,000 megawatts of additional capacity in the country. Without that, it will be impossible to say that we're going to have a reliable system, because we need, as we indicated, we're running with 8,700 megawatts of risk on our system. The right thing to do would be to shut down those units, do the maintenance, because they are going to trip and they're going to embarrass us at a time that we do not expect. So the right thing to do would be to shut them down and attend to the maintenance so that we can have more reliable units. But we can't, because we know if we shut them down, then we're going to increase even the stage of load shedding. So additional capacity is desperately needed in the country in order to have a much more reliable system, total system, to meet the demand for the country.
And Pule, what about the effects of these power cuts on businesses?
Well, definitely it seems as though, SMEs and small businesses are bearing the brunt of, these terrible continuous power trips as well. And of course, what they're saying is that this has a toll on their financial income as well, and revenue that they would be expecting to make, particularly after having to come out of this deadly COVID-19 pandemic. I'm just going to speak to one of them right now just to get a bit of feedback as to how has, business been running. Mr. Trevor from Kota Central. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, you're part and parcel of some of the SMEs and small businesses that are trying to make a living, especially in townships as well, but you're hampered by the continuous load shedding taking place. Maybe just a reaction, how's that affecting business?
Good day to listeners at home. The load shedding has impacted us very badly since we haven't fully recovered from the last year's looting and the national COVID lockdown and everything. So now again Eskom has started with load shedding, and all the businesses are taking a toll. We are taking a big strain. It's affected us badly. We've got 2 stores currently, this one, and we've got another store in Ebony. So if the electricity goes, we are forced to do nothing but close the doors and send the employees home.
One would imagine that you're still trying to make some bit of income to ensure that you pay those you've employed as well. What are you relying on when the electricity trips? Do you have sufficient generators?
Unfortunately, we don't have generators. Looking at the price of petrol going up, looking at the at what's happening internationally between Russia and Ukraine. The prices of oil went up, the barrel of oil, and running with a fuel, with petrol, it's not an ideal. It's more like taking one step back and taking two steps backwards by judging by the price of fuel, which is almost 20 rands a litre. So, which is, unfortunately, now we've got nothing to do but close the door.
Okay, maybe just a quick one before you wrap. Also, have you been engaging in government subsidies to try and get support for your businesses? And what is the way forward from here onwards, Mr. Chair?
We are applying for funding. We have applied on CEDA. We are on the national COVID relief. No response and everything. So we are appealing to any donors out there who are willing to help us with any gas, anything that they can donate, and anything, any funders. We are really appealing to save jobs. Here we've got four staffers working here. So if there is no electricity, we're closing those. They've got families to feed and everything, and then unfortunately there's nothing that we don't do. So we are appealing to the government. We are appealing to all those private funders and everything who can contribute. We are appealing for those contributions.
Yeah, thank you very much. All the best with your businesses. There we go, Masiho. Some, concerns that have been highlighted there, especially on the issue of the Ukraine-Russia war that has been taking place in Eastern Europe. This is one aspect that Eskom did highlight, to say they are monitoring the situation quite well to ensure that it does not affect the power utility in terms of their purchase control when it comes to the fuel, oil and gas as well. And they're saying that hopefully, while these discussions are ongoing, that they can find a remedy as to how they can resolve any challenge that could come their way. But as well, going down to the human interest angle of the story, this is what we're hearing. This is how small businesses are being affected. They're hoping that the power utility can come on its feet again, start generating that power and ensuring that businesses aren't affected and the jobs can be saved.